Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board. I'm calling this meeting to order at 6:43, and I apologize for the delay, on Monday, December 21, 2020. We've had a little trouble transitioning from the Water Board to the Select Board on Zoom. We've gotten 4 of our 5 selectmen. We hope the 5th one will be joining us when his machine restarts, but we are going to proceed. First, I must check. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No.
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 Okay. Minutes. Dave, do we have minutes? Dave, you are on mute, and Tony, you are making a lot of noise. What's going on? But it's a machine running next to your microphone.
Yeah, Tim, we have the 11:30 Select Board meeting and the 11:30 Water Board.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for 11:30 Select Board and Water Board as circulated?
So moved.
Moved by Ken.
Second.
Second by Art. Any discussion, addition, corrections to the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed to approving the minutes? Any abstaining? Okay, those minutes are approved 4-0-0. Next up is warrants. First, I have check warrant 21. These are appropriations that were approved at, I want to say last year's, but at the 2020 town meeting. And the total is $87,710. I need a motion to approve.
Motion
by
to approve.
Art. Moved by
Second.
Ken, second by Art. So they include Arlington Rescue Squad, 8,500. Bennington County Conservation District, 475. Bennington Habitat Humanity, 1,850. Bennington Coalition for the Homeless, 1,000. Bennington County Association, Bennington County Association, I guess, 500. Bennington Free Clinic, 1,000. Bennington Free Library, 18,000. Bennington Little League, 500. Bennington Project Independence, 4,560. Bennington Tutorial Center, 900. Brock, 1,700. Center for Restorative Justice, 600. Green Up Vermont, 200. John G. McCullough Library, 24,000. Martha Canfield Library, 2,000. Parent Recreation, 2,800. Park McCullough Association, 1,500. Project Against Violent Encounters, 450. Retired Seniors Volunteer Program, 950. Shaftsbury Historical Society, 2,500. Southern Vermont Southwest Vermont Area Agency on, and I don't have the full title there. That's 1,100. Sunrise, 1,000. Vermont Association for the Blind, 300. VNA Hospice, 5,225. Center for Independent Living, 1,000. And WBTN, 5,000. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving check warrant number 21, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, that motion for check warrant 21, $87,710 is approved 400. Okay, next is check warrant number 20. The total is $27,364.14.
So move.
Motion to approve from Art,
Second.
seconded by Ken. Major items on this one include 1,400 to A&K Agri Services, 1,000 to Aflac, 7,300 to Blue Cross Blue Shield, 2,000 to Bennington County Sheriff, 400 to Blue Tarp Financial. Haven't seen that one before.
It's a Northern Tools, who we've had an account with for a while. They changed to a new financial company for billing purposes.
5 or 6 entries for GA Bow Fuels, ranging from $100 to $800. Several for Green Mountain Power, ranging from $22 to $800. 1,100 to Nemrick. Several to Northeast Municipal LLC, ranging from 30 to 1,000. What is Northeast Municipal LLC?
Yeah, it's just an equipment supply house. We buy a variety of things. On this one, there's everything from signposts to signs to got a few of them for you. So it's just a new dealer we're working with. They send individual invoices for everything. Kind of annoying.
Okay. And then couple to William E. Daley, 300, and also 3,600. Total again, $27,364.14. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving check warrant 20, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, check warrant number 20, $27,364.14 is approved 400. And it looks like my last one, payroll warrant number 12, $26,519.65.
So move.
Motion
Second.
approved from Ken, seconded by Art. Any discussion on the payroll? All in favor of approving the payroll, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to the payroll warrant? Any abstaining? Okay, payroll warrant number 12, $28,919.07 is approved 400. Okay, are there any announcements? I want to announce that the select board has taken advantage of emergency legislation allowing us to, in 2021 only, hold town meeting votes, principally the budget vote, by Australian ballot. That authority was given as an emergency measure to the select board. We have taken advantage of that. So be aware that we will not have a traditional town meeting. We will have a budget vote and any other questions that remain. I think mainly just setting the date for taxes by Australian ballot. And we will have, as also required by the emergency legislation, an informational meeting that will be a whole lot like town meeting. We will hold it virtually, and it will be information on the budget the night before, on the Monday before. We haven't actually decided that, but certainly my recommendation is that we hold it on the Monday before the ballot, just like we would town meeting.
Tim,
Yeah,
can we ask that there's a echo, which I believe is coming from Cat TV. It's like a delay after everything you say. It's repeating.
Cat TV, can we get you to mute or figure out what that echo is? Cat TV, are you there? Okay, thank you. I also want to announce that there are openings at several levels of town government, including by openings, I mean terms coming to an end on the select board, on the planning commission, and on the DRB. If you want to serve in one of those roles this year, if you want to serve on the select board, you only have to provide the clerk with an consent letter, an intent letter. I forgot exactly what it's called, saying that you do plan to run and you will be placed on the ballot. Because of health concerns, you're not required to raise a petition as you would in normal years. The openings on the Planning Commission and DRB, you need to send a letter of intent, a request to serve to either Dave Kieran, the town administrator, or myself, and your name will be placed in contention.
Tim, can I just go back to the Australian ballot? I really want to emphasize to the people that once the ballot goes to print, we cannot change anything at that meeting, the informational meeting that we're talking about. If the citizens want anything changed in the budget, it has to be done before it goes to print. So this is what the next meetings, there's going to be time for the people to do that. And it goes to, when does it go to print, Dave?
We will have to have it in by the first week in February. So we do have these, and everything in the budget, they're all drafts, which I have to caution everybody on, but they are in a link to the town meetings we're having. So each meeting, there'll be a link to whatever is updated, and this meeting's budget is a little updated from last meeting's budget. So it's an ongoing thing.
Okay. But that informational meeting the night before town meeting cannot change anything in the budget. I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Right. Okay, item 6 is the treasurer's report. Melanie Dexter.
Hi there. I thought you were going to have public comments, but
Normally we would.
Okay.
Why don't I do that if it's okay with you? I didn't want to deviate from the
Sure.
agenda without discussion. So without objection, we will correct the agenda to hold public comments at this point. Does anyone have public comments? All right, then we will move on to the treasurer's report.
okay. As I say, I didn't do reports. I didn't do the formal reports this time, which is, they're not really critical in mid-month because I can't really, assess how we're doing versus budget until we've got a closed month. But there's not really all that much going on with receipts or disbursements, nothing that you don't know about. So it's a good one to miss. If you have any questions about anything coming in or going out, I'm happy to address them, but there's some money coming from the state. There's a lot of delinquent tax money coming in. Not much else going on. Any questions about any of that?
How do we stand on delinquent taxes, Melanie?
They're not very different from other years as of right now. They're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I don't want to. It's very fluid because MERD is collecting all the time, but I think it's coming in about $60,000 behind the average.
Okay.
Not as bad as I thought.
Thank you. Yep.
Mhm.
Good to hear.
Yeah. The other thing, if there are any questions about that stuff, the one thing I did want to bring up is I did get a lot of pushback this year about having a different due date from North Bennington, and people who pay their education taxes can get really upset about that. I think that having the date be the taxes due on a Friday at 5 p.m. that makes sense to me, but there's a lot of people who really don't like it. So I wanted to bring it up in a couple of meetings, let people weigh in. It's a very vocal small minority, but that since we're not having the regular town meeting, I want to make sure that it does get addressed. Whether we change it so that we're the same as North Bennington this year. I don't have an opinion. I just want to make sure that what I do reflects the will of the majority.
Remind me how we ended up with different dates?
Well, for
I mean,
the last,
Is it normal that we have different dates?
it isn't always different dates. It sort of depends on what date the Friday falls on, but they seem to be always November 10th, unless that's a holiday or a weekend day. But the date has been the 10th the last few years, so it moves around in the week. Whereas ours is always a Friday. And of course, Sunderland and Arlington have different dates, but we don't have any people who pay taxes in both places, or very few.
So it can vary, and it has varied in the past, but this year people were particularly vocal about it, or?
They were particularly vocal. I think partly because of the pandemic, it's just harder to know what the date is. I mean, I have that problem, that knowing it's harder to keep track of your calendar, I think, and more people got caught by surprise. They said it's always been this date, which is it's not. It hasn't been that date the last few years, but they say it's always been this date, and I shouldn't have to pay taxes in two different places on two different days. And I got an earful about it.
Okay.
So I think that it isn't you guys who set it. It's set at town meeting day. I have in the past suggested a date and nobody's objected to it. As I say, it's a very vocal minority, but they're the ones who pay taxes in both towns. That's the reason they feel very strongly about it.
So I wonder how we set the date this year if there's no town meeting. That's an
Right.
interesting question.
Yeah, right. So maybe we have to add that to the agenda for that probably not very well attended Zoom meeting that we're going to have. So
No. It's on the ballot. It goes on the ballot.
oh, it does?
It will be on the ballot with the budget vote. Yeah, any questions
Oh.
that would have been on town meeting would go to the ballot. One thing
Okay.
I learned in a VLCT course the other day about this process is you cannot, even if you choose to, at one point we thought we could choose to hold town meeting virtually. You cannot do that. It's not allowed. It's not legal. So
Okay.
it's either you do it in person and risk COVID, or you put it on a ballot.
So we need to, again, we need to know, I suppose the select board's got to decide before it goes to print, what day we
Right.
put down. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, we typically take the Friday closest to the 10th, right? I mean, that's what we do.
Right, it's been the Friday before Veterans Day for at least 7 years. I can't access older, there's probably some way to find it. We could go through town reports or something, but that's how long it's been the last 7 years.
Yeah, I was just gonna take a
When is
peek
it?
down at November 21 here. And the 10th is on a Wednesday, so it would be either Friday the 5th or Friday the 12th. And they do it on the 10th, so if we did it on the 12th, they couldn't complain, right?
Well, then maybe they'd complain to North Bennington.
All the better.
Yeah. And
Remind
that's
me
where they
when,
pay the bigger check too.
you said it's the Friday before Veterans Day?
That's what it's been. Yeah, it's been creeping backwards just because of how the calendar works. So it would, I think it went 10th, 9th, 8th, and then because of leap day, I think it was 6th and then 5th this year.
When is Veterans Day? I should know that, but I don't.
11/11.
Oh, so this would change our formula if we did it on the 12th then.
Right. I mean, I think if we change it, we should just change it so it agrees with Bennington and North Bennington.
Bennington does that too?
I think they're the 10th generally, with the exceptions I mentioned. I don't think if it lands on a Sunday, I don't think they're making that their tax due date, but that hasn't happened in a few years.
I mean, anything we change is going to upset somebody. If
That's right.
we call taxes on a Wednesday for the first time in 10 years, somebody's going to go nuts.
Yes. That's why I wanted to get it out there so that I got a sense of, so that we could all get a sense of where people's minds are really at. I mean, as I say, that if you miss the due date because you were paying in 2 different places with 2 different dates, then you're going to be upset about it. But that's doesn't apply to all that many people.
Yeah. I guess I would probably vote for Friday the 12th.
Well, it's going to, I think having it be changed, but not agreeing with North Bennington it's not going to solve the problem as they perceive it.
People are going to complain immediately because it'll be the day after a holiday.
Yeah.
It'll throw them off.
I think we can decide this another meeting. We got until the ballot's got to be, so let's.
Right. I just wanted to air it so that
Yep.
anybody can, if they feel strongly about it, they can start making their opinion known.
All right.
And the other reason I'm here was to have that the discussion of the checking of the bank account we need to open just for those 2 transactions. I think that's coming up later on the agenda.
Yeah, I had that
It
on
is.
the agenda. Yeah, but it's any questions, I guess, now.
Yeah. Do we want to move that on the agenda to now?
Sure.
Yes,
Without objection, we'll take up item 11 then, bank authorization for the Perrin Village funding transfer. Explain that to us.
You want me to explain it? Do you want?
Well, you're the one dealing with the paperwork. I can talk about it from the bank's point of view.
Yeah, basically, because we signed on to basically funnel money between the federal government, the state, and Shires Housing. We're at the last stages, and to enter the last items into the gear system, and for the town to get money and then pass it on, this is like 1 transaction to the town and 1 transaction over to Shires Housing. We need to have a completely separate bank account because it's required under the federal regulations, so that there's no arbitrage or anything else. This documents that Melanie got from the bank requires everyone's signature, or members of the board, to sign acknowledging that we're creating a bank account. So 1 purpose, basically 1 check account that the state for the feds will deposit the money in, and Melanie will write the check for whatever it is, $380,000 to Shires, and then the account will be done. But it has to be kept completely separate from town funds for the eventual audit that we will get on this.
It's not allowed to earn any interest. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
All right, makes perfect sense. What do you want us to do?
I think it has to be in the minutes that you voted on it, and then I need a bunch of signatures, and they have to be notarized.
Yeah.
So you need a motion to create a bank account?
To,
Just take, yeah.
yeah, the motion to sign the business deposit account certified resolutions from People's United Bank.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Art. Any discussion on what Dave just said? All in favor of doing that, say aye.
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 Any opposed? How many signatures do you need?
I always need 3. So the same routine as always during the pandemic. I'll have it upstairs with me. If I don't happen to be in, they'll be down with Marlene, and Marlene needs to notarize the signatures.
Does she need to know, even if you're there, can you notarize them, or does she
No,
have
I
to?
cannot notarize them. Only Marlene can.
Okay, so she is there every morning?
Yeah, except, well, this week she probably won't, well, obviously she won't be in Friday. So any day you can get there before Thursday afternoon, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Okay,
And actually sooner is better, because they're champing at the bit to get this money from
Yeah.
us. So if there's any way you could do it tomorrow, the bank is leery about letting us do any transactions until they have this paperwork in their hand.
I'll make an
All right, I
effort
can
to
do
be
it.
there.
Art can do it, Ken?
Yeah, I can get there.
Okay. All
What
right,
I'll do then, I'll leave them with Marlene because she has to notarize them anyway. So you can just go see Marlene.
Okay.
Have to be after 11 o'clock is all.
That's fine, Ken.
probably would do well to call Marlene and check, make sure she doesn't have other people in there that we're gonna bump into, because we're pretty much one at a time in her office these days.
Correct.
All right, we will do that. All right, any other treasury business? All right, Melanie, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 8 was the Sally Gannon Road Solar Project. We needed to whip some more paperwork out of that, but late this week we got notice that the owners of the land have changed their mind and that project is not going forward. So we do not need to deal with that after all. And that takes us to the budget discussion. And we'll go to Dave.
All right, we'll start off. Just I'd like to thank all the applicants. We have all the applicants in for community appropriations for fiscal 22. And all the applicants maintain the request from last year, which was helpful in this difficult year. As you know, we're striving to keep everything as low as possible. This week's iteration of the budget is only a 1% increase from last year. So that was very good to hear. I did send out an email regarding one of the appropriations that was voter approved last year, but I think some of the information has to be out about it because our donation, which is one of our largest community appropriations, is 27% of their entire revenue. So I don't know how the board wants to address that. If we should be discussing in the open so the voters are aware of that.
Dave, I liked your comment about the regional commission bases everything on this, on the population of the towns and that sort of stuff. And if we certainly aren't 27% of the population of the area that they cover. I like your idea of just doing what our percentage of the population that is served by the radio station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we try not to be 10%. What we pay for the county and the SWIP and all that is 10.4% of every countywide bill. So what we're paying here is obviously very much higher. Perhaps it'd be appropriate to have a representative from there come to the next meeting and explain. I know they're having problems, as many groups are, but it's just struck me. All of our groups have been here a long time. This was a new group approved last year, and we're carrying 27% of their budget. I don't know if that was the way it was outlined last year completely in the appropriation application. So it's something I just think the voters need to have it explained to them, because it is a large at 5,000. It's one of our largest.
I appreciate what David said. I was not aware that we were carrying the lion's share of that. I would remind the board that I believe it was last year that WBTN was required to raise a petition to get their appropriation request on the ballot, and it was approved by the voters. So I, for one, would not be inclined to reduce that amount from the board. We're certainly have that prerogative, but given the situation, they're not in a position to go out and follow their normal course of redress, which would be to get a petition to get the amount put back to what they want. We're not doing petitions this year. My opinion would be make the voters aware that we're paying more than our fair share of this budget, but of this appropriation. But I, for one, am not inclined to change it, just given that WBTN doesn't have the option of appealing our decision as they normally would.
Yeah, in the law, and because we do not have a community appropriations policy, what I'm thinking as the procedure for this should be to have the representative in to kind of explain this, because with an appropriate policy, we would have the option to amend this. But if we have them in, they could at least, I think the public, I guess what I'm saying, has the right to kind of hear both sides of this and whether or not they want to pay this, what appears to be a fairly disproportionate share. I don't know how many people in Shaftsbury listen to this, but if you go by how we appropriate in the county, Bennington usually pays somewhere around 44%. And I'm sure a lot of their listeners, I don't even know how many listeners they have, but we seem to be paying a very disproportionate share of their operating budget. So I could have a representative in at one of the next meetings, just so the voters are aware. And maybe it would be something that, it's perhaps something for them to reconsider a request, because it's thumbs up or thumbs down when you vote.
Right. Well, I certainly would support that, having WBTN come in and explain why we're paying more than our share of their operating budget.
All right, I'll arrange that for the next meeting or the one after if they can't make it.
Okay.
And then the next, if Nicole is ready, Nicole Campbell is here to the new application from Shire Kids. There were things in the Dropbox, but Nicole's here, so I'll turn it over to her. Nicole.
Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for everyone's time. So Shire Kids is an early childhood literacy nonprofit, and I started Shire Kids last year in 2019 as a means to bring Dolly Parton's Imagination Library to Bennington County. And just a brief history on Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. It's a free book gifting program that sends a book to all the enrolled children's home every month from birth until their 5th birthday. So the books are free to the families enrolled. They'll always just receive a brand new book every month until their child turns 5 for free, and there's no cost to them. The local nonprofit that runs the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library in each community pays for the books that go to each enrolled child. So Shire Kids, like I said, we started last year as a means to bring Dolly Parton's Imagination Library here. And so we pay for the books that go out to all the children here. We do have, so in our first year, we've enrolled over 1,000 children in Bennington County, which is wonderful and I'm really excited about. That's over 50% of our population of children from birth to 5. For Shaftsbury, in the numbers I ran about a week and a half ago, there were 53 children that are currently enrolled in the program that receive a free book every month. And there were 9 children that had been enrolled over the last year and a half since we started, but since graduated out of the program on their 5th birthday. So it's a really incredible program. I worked with local pediatricians and social care workers and preschool teachers and speech and language pathologists, talked with all of them about the program and, to really like understand the need for it. And they're all so supportive, and they're the ones that are really the enrollment network and the way that families have gotten enrolled in the program so far over the last year. But in just the last few months, the awareness of the program has really skyrocketed between social media presence, and there was a documentary that came out last week on the Dolly Parton Library, which was aired on Facebook. So online registrations are just flowing in daily. I'm getting between 5 and 15 registrations every single day lately. So any questions? I don't know what I didn't cover there in my few minutes. So do you have any questions about how it works or what it is?
Did I understand that you have to pay for the books? I thought Dolly Parton was supplying all these completely free.
No, so the way the partnership works is, so the Dolly Parton Foundation started it in Tennessee, but the program can be brought to any community in the United States and actually 4 other countries as well. But the local nonprofit is the one that pays for the books, and it's this really reduced rate. I mean, it's between $2 and $3 per book. So amazing titles for a really low cost. And that's something that the Dolly Parton Foundation negotiates with the authors and the publishers is, to get these books into the program, and there's very high quality books, really nicely done for such a low price. But yes, there is that cost that is passed on to the local nonprofit that then pays for those books. The book production, the bulk packaging, mailing, labeling, all of that is done by the Dolly Parton Foundation. So I'm never sitting in my kitchen with stacks of books. I don't do any of that. It's all the administrative work is what I do for our local, the enrollment, the data management, our book orders every month is what the local nonprofit manages. So that's what I do. But then the Dolly Parton Foundation does all the book mailing. So yeah, we do pay between, like I said, it's about $2 and $2.65 approximately per book each month. And so with 800, I said we've enrolled over 1,000 children, about 150 have graduated. So I think we have 869 enrolled right now. So our monthly invoice for books is around $1,700 that we pay per month for the books that go out.
But Shaftsbury's share of that is $100, $150 a month. Is that right?
Right. So narrowing that down to the 53 that are currently enrolled in Shaftsbury. Right. So that would be the best way to approximate the cost is it's about $25 per child per year that they're enrolled. So for 53 children to be enrolled for for 1 year is about $1,300, $1,325. And so over the lifetime of those children being enrolled, it's about $6,600.
So are you Shire's kids all by yourself?
Kind of. I do have someone who's going to be helping me with grant writing in 2021, which I'm very excited about. That's the way we've funded ourselves so far, is almost solely through grant writing. And then I do have 3 advisors for our board of directors, a pediatrician with Southwestern Vermont Medical, a social care worker with Children's Integrated Services in Bennington, and library and media specialist in BRSU is also on our board.
And how long have you been doing that, and how did you come to be that the one person in the area carrying the Dolly Parton thing forward?
So I lived in Washington, DC when my children were born. And so it's available in DC. The program has been in DC. And so I enrolled my children. And then we moved here in 2017. And I got a notice saying, you'll no longer be receiving your books from Dolly Parton because you're no longer in the service area. So I didn't really understand how the whole program worked before that. And so I looked into it thinking like we should definitely have this program here. And then I learned about how, any community can have it, but you have to have a local nonprofit that houses it, right? And so that's when I started talking to some pediatricians in our local libraries. I talked to Vermont Reading Partners and some of the existing literacy nonprofits, and they were very supportive of it and excited for it to get started, but no one wanted to take it, on themselves. It is a decent amount of work, a lot of admin. So that's why I ended up starting Shire Kids myself. Was just, and I am happy that I did in the end, because, I'm not under like just in a working under a library or something, but it's, so I was just a parent and just a mom that had my own kids enrolled. My background is in textile sales and interior design, and I've not done nonprofit work before, but I just really see the need for this program, and I think it's such a benefit to the community. And if my time will get it up and running and available to these 1,000 children in our community, it's 100% worth it.
How much are you asking for to be put on the ballot?
My request is for $500.
Didn't you just tell us that it takes $1,325 to service the Shaftsbury kids for a year?
Yep, and we see that number growing with additional enrollments, which I'm sure we'll see in the coming years. My thought is, like I said, I've primarily raised money through grants, which I plan to continue to write for grants. However, it's obviously not the best. It's not good to run an organization relying on grants, as we've seen in 2020. Grant money is highly competitive right now. That was my thought of why I'm like diversifying funding requests. So I am this year going to go to the towns to supplement the support that we receive from grants. And then I'm also looking to, I'm starting a campaign in 2021 to get some more local business and local individual funding as well. So kind of looking to do a third would be my goal for splitting up where our revenue streams come from. Not revenue, just funding, because we have no revenue. It's not any of its revenue, sorry.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to place Shire Kids on the community appropriation ballot at $500?
So move.
Moved by Art, second by Ken. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, that motion is approved, 400. Very good, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Next, we have Jenny Mazicki from McCullough Library. Their request is the same as last year. Jenny wanted the opportunity to address the board in the town. Jenny, you're on, but you're on mute.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello and good evening. And thanks. First, first thing, because I was listening in here, Nicole, come give me a call at the library. Let's see if we can work together a little bit to reach kids, especially Shaftsbury kids, and other kids in the area. This is right up our alley, and I think we might be able to help each other.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I heard your name a few times recently, so I certainly will reach out. So I'm glad to.
Please do. We'll be stronger together.
Yes.
So, and secondly, just wanted to check in, even though, because we're keeping funding level for the coming year. That's it was in our application. I just felt that it would be good stewardship and good community relations, and the responsibility is on us to just check in and say hello and answer questions. And I'd also like to say that the library building, while it has been closed since March, staff are still in. We are bustling with a book pickup service, which we've been able to offer consistently, even in kind of like the ebb and flow of COVID cases. We've been able to offer book pickup. Now we're at 3 times a week, very consistently. And that's our plan going forward. So you can request items for pickup by calling the library, emailing mcculloughlibraryclerk@gmail.com. That's all one word. Or if you go on our website, mcculloughlibrary.org, there is a link to a Google form where you can make your requests. And that has been working very well for us. Folks have embraced this kind of new way of picking up books, and there are lessons here that we'll take into the future. But yeah, I guess maybe I can just take questions, answer any questions or concerns.
What kind of loan volume are you seeing relative to pre-pandemic with your book pickup service?
Sure. So we were closed completely for 10 weeks, but we're still looking at least 15,000 items circulated this year, which is a reduction over last year, but the building was closed for 10 weeks. I think that could be directly attributed to that. But otherwise, accounting for that, we've been stable with last year. The interesting thing is that digital loans have been a growing proportion of all loans. So that means free ebooks and audiobooks. Well, there's also been other activity. We were able to introduce lynda.com this year, which is a top shelf job training, small business support and technology skills tutorial and courses platform. It is fabulous, and we were able to offer that as well. So that's been very attractive to our patrons, and attracted a lot of new members as well. Let's see. And in the year ahead, we're planning to adopt Canopy, which is a video streaming with a focus on educational videos for kids, documentaries, independent and foreign films or foreign language films. Really an interesting collection. So I assume that digital services are kind of here. They're with us, and they'll continue to grow.
Do you do any equipment loaning like computers?
At the moment, we do not. I'm actually submitting a grant application with I think it's the Department of Libraries and the Vermont Community Foundation to put together Chromebooks to lend. And we'll see how that goes. But it gets tricky. Loaning computers can get really, really tricky. But our Wi-Fi services have just been off the hook this year. Students and people working remotely have been sort of outside enjoying the fresh air in better weather, of course, enjoying the fresh air and the Wi-Fi. It's kind of amazing. So we know there's a need.
Have your Wi-Fi services been upgraded using any of the CARES Act money, or are these or just leakage through the windows that you've always had with your Wi-Fi?
It's pretty strong. We haven't upgraded it just because of how strong it is. It serves a pretty wide area around the library. And it's pretty strong. I've gone out there and tried to walk across the street toward Powers, and I can still get the Wi-Fi there. Going up the street a little. Yeah, so and I've heard, I don't know, there may be upgrades coming sort of more universally to we're part of this Fiber Connect network. So they're looking at equipment upgrades there kind of as a whole unit. And if that's a possibility, we'll definitely be in on that.
Other questions or comments for Jenny? All right, well, your request community appropriation is the same as last year, so our policy this year is to put it on the ballot again at the same level.
Okay, thanks. And one last thing is we've also introduced, because it's harder to sign up for a library card while the building is closed. There's just email that McCullough Library Clerk at gmail.com and we'll get you started. And that'll grant you access not only to books and DVDs, but the digital collection, lynda.com, all that stuff. So we're here for you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll continue along a little bit with the budget. We can go for anyone who has questions this week. Just to give you the idea of where it is with a few adjustments from the last meeting. We're looking at an increase for the year of $25,184, which is a 1.1% increase over last year. Nearly half of that is the Air Pack Reserve Fund, which we discussed about for people who may not know at home. The fire department needs to have its air packs replaced, and so we're starting a fund so that we can do that on a program basis and not be searching for money or taking out a loan to do it. So eventually we'll have it so that we're putting money in a reserve to replace the air bottles as they're needed and the entire Scott pack they wear. They're quite expensive, and the ones they have now are all getting close to 20 years old, which is, to me, an extraordinary amount of time to have had one of those. So that's going to be something that we're going to ask the voters to approve at town meeting, a $10,000 a year reserve fund for air packs. And part of the increase also is we're required by the state to now pay for communication fees, starting at $1,500 the first year. One thing that I corrected in the budget on my end was adding in $2,350 for the John Deere loader that we have. That in a conversation with Mike, I thought we were going to remove that, and we're not. So I had to put $2,350 back in for that for this year. I can bring up
That's the maintenance on that, assumed
Yes.
maintenance.
it never leaves the yard. It's just a yard tractor, so its maintenance is pretty low. But I thought it's something we are talking about replacing, but it's not going to be next year. So I had to add that back in. So otherwise, I'm trying to bring something up here so I can share my screen to just give. Unfortunately, when I do this at home, this gets very slow. Let's see here. Okay. So I don't know, can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just a breakdown of the total budget across all the departments. So you see that the DPW takes up more than half the proposed budget, and that includes their share of the reserve funds, which includes the Class 3 road fund, the paving reserve fund, culvert reserve fund, items like that. And you can see along the wheel here what each area is expensed at. Transfer to non-DPW reserves is 5%. Debt service will be 5%. If we receive the loan from the state, we're still waiting to hear from that. I thought we were going to hear before Christmas, but I only have a couple of days late. I don't know about that now. But either way, as we discussed before, we need to buy a tractor. So if we don't get this 2% loan from the state, we'll probably get a 2.5% loan from someone else to buy it. Either way, the one we own is not very functional, so we have to move on to something else. Let me see, I can bring up another one. As I'm bringing up another one, if anyone has any questions. Anything? No? Oh, this is very slow. And it just shows, hold it. Wrong one. I'm getting there. I'm like a kid playing with this thing. This is the DPW chart, which shows where the money is going inside the DPW. As you can see, when you look at the dedicated reserve funds and construction and maintenance, 46% of it is going directly into construction and of the roadways and materials. Because all the reserve funds are Class 3 paving and culverts. So that's all for material to go into projects we're doing about town. Wages and benefits are pretty stable at 41%. And in DPW, I've rolled in parks and rec plus the street lights, which is only 1% of the budget anyway. But because they take the responsibility for parks and rec right now, it belongs there, and the garage is around 2% of the annual cost as a percentage of the DPW budget.
The streetlights is the electricity cost?
Yes, and it's coming out around 10,000 a year. Is it over here? 15,000 a year. No, 5,500 is park, so it's about 10,000 a year for the lights. Most of that's the village lights, obviously.
Did we go to LED lights or energy efficient lights? Did we change that? I thought we did, didn't we?
Yeah, about 6 years ago, I think we did that.
Okay, and still $10,000.
Yeah, yeah, it's not getting any cheaper lately, I can tell you that. Let's see what else I can bring up here.
What was that John Deere tractor you were talking about, Dave? Is that the one with the tractor backhoe? Or is that another?
No, that's the big, it's the surplus one, Kenny.
Oh, the heavy
Yeah,
John Deere loader?
yeah, and we only use that in the back, so it's really okay.
Yeah.
Michael and I had been discussing it, and I just thought that I had it in my mind that it was going this year, and it's not.
Well, how can you get rid of that? You gotta have a loader.
Well, that was part of our discussion is what we were going to do in moving forward. But I got a little ahead of myself in 22. It's not going to be 22. So I was just adding the repairs back in. If we can, we'll just roll through the 10-year capital equipment plan here. You can see each year what we intend to replace here. We have most of the trucks being replaced. On the left-hand side there, a backhoe in 26. In 26, we'll also be purchasing a new fire truck to replace the sister to the one we replaced this year. They bought 2 trucks at the same time in 2006. And working with Joe, we've wanted to put the trucks on a 15-year rotation. So basically, a truck will be replaced every 5 years. They do get, excuse me, good resale, and it keeps the fire department in very up-to-date equipment. And these are all covered. Every expense in here is just covered by contributions to the reserve funds year by year. And I've carried this out until fiscal 31, which is the big one, when we have to finally replace the John Deere grader. And the fire truck, the second fire truck gets replaced just before that. And when you see the fiscal 31, you're really talking about ordering, like in the case of a fire truck, ordering it at the end of the prior fiscal year because they take so long to come. So you're not waiting till like June of 31 or 25 to get a truck. You're really going to have it in July of the preceding year because we just order everything in advance. The truck we're going to take possession of for the DPW in January, we ordered nearly a year ago. It's just the way all these things are now. You have to order them so far in advance.
Dave, what's your idea of replacing or keep fixing the cat grader? We really need 2 graders. So what are you going to do about the Caterpillar?
Yeah, the cat's still functioning. It is an issue. However, there's alternates to owning a second grader, or 10 years from now, the possibility of making the John Deere the second grader. But in the interim, it might even be looking at leasing something like we had done the mower for a while. Because if you go down, I mean, the grader, I'm estimating the grader is going to cost nearly $500,000 10 years from now. These are not, well, as you well know, these are not small items. They're very expensive. So there are ways to lease these. A lot of companies do lease them. Short term, just like we leased the mower. But we'll have to see how it holds up and where we hit the breaking point with it.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see here. So I think I can go on if you want to go through the budget, or are there any questions as you look through the budget line items?
Dave, I had a couple calls from the road crew, and they were a little upset about the uniforms going away. They were wondering if there was any way we could make that money someplace else without doing any damage, because they noted that North Bennington and Bennington have all got uniforms, and they felt slated, I guess is the word.
Well, the uniforms right now, basically the only thing we're talking about are jeans, and very few of them actually even wear the shirts. I've hardly ever see a jacket on anybody. We're talking about $7,000 difference here.
I just wanted to mention that because it was brought up to me.
Sorry?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention it because they were mentioned to me, and they feel it's kind of a benefit.
No, I heard that too, and it is kind of a benefit. It's also, I mean, I was a cop for 25 years. We got a clothing allowance. It never covered what you had to buy, especially if, I was a detective for a long while, so I needed clothing for this, but I also had to go back on duty, so I had to have uniforms, and it never covered everything. And certainly no one was paying to get it cleaned either. So it's
Well, I haven't seen somebody bring it up, so that was.
No, and I heard a couple of
I
people,
bet.
but I also heard prior to my trying to move it away that they would prefer not having uniforms. So I think you have a mixed bag here. Some of them don't particularly care for this stuff. Others apparently do, but I think as a cost issue, $10,000 for uniform cleaning for 6 people is a lot of money. And $500 to buy jeans and shirts is also a lot of money. And we buy their boots, and we buy their gloves, and we buy the hoodies, and we buy the t-shirts already. So it's not like we're not providing things. We're providing a lot: boots, shirts, hoodies, safety gear, gloves, all the
Do
protection.
they provide coveralls up there for like when they're working in the trucks?
That's never come up because they just wear these things and toss them in. But certainly something like that is a reasonable compromise. You want coveralls for when you're working around the trucks, then that'd be an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Well, could you look into that?
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
talk with them. I mean, just like every part of the budget, this is something that is a discussion item. And if they have it, we can look into it. But unfortunately for this one, it's such a substantial amount of money to provide, uniforms for 6 people.
Right, well, I was thinking that if you had coveralls up there where you're going to be in the mud, maybe they're undercoating the trucks or whatever, working at them.
Yeah. Or $500 will buy you jeans and coveralls too.
Yeah.
Okay. But we'll continue discussions with it. I'll discuss it with some of them, see what's.
No, because I mean, like I say, I was called and I told them I'd bring it up.
Yeah. Okay. That's really all I have for this evening, unless there's some questions from the board.
Hearing nothing from the board, we allotted on the agenda a special public comment section at this point for the public to comment on what they've heard about the planned budget. Public comments. All right, hearing none, we will move on. We dealt with item 11, the bank authorization for Shires. Looks like we are due to talk about the Solid Waste Alliance contract.
Yeah, we had brought this up at a prior meeting, and the question was raised about when does it expire? And actually, it doesn't expire. It never expires. But we're locked in forever. But there's out clauses in it that we can leave whenever we want, just like anybody in the county can. However, the way the state is set up, leaving would be quite an expensive proposition because you would have to be a standalone and follow all the state regulations. So this is just to solidify what we've been doing, well, since 10 years I've been around. So it's just a vote to reapprove the interlocal contract, which really just speaks to the standard things we've always been doing, and looked at that table of share that's in here, and how many votes we get, because that's always a bone of contention. Like, we get 2 votes because we have 10.24% of the population, and Bennington gets 8 because they have 44.96% of the population. So those things are adjusted. It goes into the details of what mix of votes and town numbers constitute a quorum, the powers and duties of the different officers of it. This is just the enabling document so that we can function as a group and move the state's agenda along.
I make the motion, we join the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance.
So move. Second.
So we have a motion and a second to sign the Bennington Solid Waste Alliance contract. I'm a little puzzled though. Why are we signing it again if the contract did not expire?
It just gets updated. There were minor changes to it. like I said, the number of people who are voting, updating documents like where we are in the universal recycling law, what the different officers do. It was really just tweaked. There isn't any much significant change in the entire document.
And there's no date on the new document either?
No, there's no expiration. It's just a basic interlocal. Because interlocals, a lot are designed like this one, so that yes, we have an out. We can leave whenever we want. With no penalty. We don't pay anything into this because the allocations come separately through the SWIP. So this is just allowing us to be part of the SWIP and enter into this legally set up interlocal agreement.
Does this one have some legal thing like I've seen that says it supersedes any other contracts? Or if we sign this one, are we going to be bound by 2 contracts?
No, it has a severability clause.
Okay. I'm fine with signing it. It just sounds like it's a little sloppy if it's not saying that it's definitely superseding the one we signed last year.
Oh, we haven't signed one in quite some time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this isn't an annual thing. We haven't changed this. I think this is the first change since I've been in the alliance.
Okay, okay. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of signing the Bennington County Solid Waste Alliance interlocal contract, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, that motion is agreed to by a vote of 4-0-0.
And I will leave that with Marlene also, because I just need the 3 signatures again of
Okay.
who's ever going to come down and sign for the other thing.
Item 13 is BCRC Commissioner appointments.
Right, I put this in the Dropbox. The BCRC is looking to establish the commissioner status. Right now, the records indicate the commissioners representing Shaftsbury on the BCRC are Ken Harrington and Cinda Morse. Appointments and duration of terms are entirely at the discretion of the municipality. This doesn't necessarily have to be done tonight if the board wants to discuss or see if these commissioners are still interested. But the BCRC is looking for an update from the board. The board appoints.
Ken, do you want to keep doing that?
Yeah.
Have we talked to Cinda?
I have not spoken with Cinda.
All right, let's, I will take care of that. Find out if Cinda wants to keep doing it, and then we'll appoint them both next time.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, that takes us to the bottom of the agenda, and we'll have one more shot at public comments. All right, hearing none. Action items tonight. We need 3 of us, and Art, Ken, and I agreed we would come in tomorrow and sign that bank account establishment thing for Shires. It sounds like we also need to sign the solid waste agreement. Dave, you're going to get somebody from WBTN in here at our next meeting to talk about our share of their community appropriation. We need to decide when we want taxes to be due. And it sounds like the candidates are Wednesday, November 10th to align with Bennington and North Bennington, or the formula we have used in the past is the Friday before Veterans Day, which would make it November 5th, a Friday. So be thinking about that. And then I will talk to Cinda, see if she wants to keep serving on the Bennington County Regional Commission. Anything else anybody remembers that we promised to do that I didn't catch? Let's see, I didn't see if there was other business. There was not an other business on the agenda. Does anybody have any other business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by Ken, seconded by Art. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed to adjourning? We stand adjourned.